Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Secure AF, the podcast about all things cybersecurity. I'm your host, Teddy Underkoffler. Today is a little bit of a different episode than what y'all are probably used to hearing because I am introducing a new co-host. Donovan Farrow, CEO and founder of Alias InfoSec, is going to be joining me on every episode going forward as co-hosts. As we go into this new year, we're going to be bringing on a variety of different cybersecurity expert guests, and the two of us together are going to be interviewing them about an incredible amount of topics. So, Donovan, if you would like, go ahead and tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I got offered by this amazing marketeers in my group that I could join this podcast. Again, my background, I'm a technical guy. I just kind of want to, I guess my side for the podcast is bring in maybe some technical aptitude, some kind of historical stuff. I can joke with all the super nerds about networking, all that stuff. And I'm going to throw some Linux stuff in there for all you neckbeards. So kind of be ready for that. I'm just kind of here to kind of add a little piece on top of that and kind of maybe dig in a little deeper technically and kind of bring you guys in the weeds and hopefully not lose you too much. But if I need to, I can pull that back and kind of bring in a more technical perspective from kind of my background and to kind of address that. So my background, I didn't always have Alias. I wasn't like that. One of my biggest questions that we talked about earlier was, it's my favorite question. It's like, Donovan, like, how did you get in IT and stuff like that? And I'm like, oh my God, that's an amazing question. That's a great question. And the real question is I was poor and I wanted to download music for free. So I made a computer and I was like, yeah, let's download some music because Napster, back in the day, you guys know what I'm talking about. You can make like a mixtape, you download some stuff for like $5 in high school. I would never do that because that's illegal and that's fraud. And I would never do that. But a lot of people back then did. Danger. Don't do that. It's bad. Secondly, I kind of went to a Votech and messed with computers a little bit and did all that stuff. Kind of going through, I worked at a lot of headhunting place, and one of my good favorite story is they were like, hey man, I'm trying to think, this is like probably 2003, so I'd have been a smooth 23 years old, and they were like, hey, can you set up Exchange? And I was like, absolutely I can. So back in the day, there's this thing called, people used to read you guys, so there's trees, right? You guys may know it's technology. There's trees, and people cut down trees. You heard of these things?
Yeah, I think I have. I think I have.
Okay, so they take trees.
Big fan.
Yeah, yes, right?
Yeah.
And you can feel the stuff. You cut down the tree, and you chop it up, and they put water and stuff. They smash it. It's called a book. People used to read books back in the day. And there's even more historical, called this place called Barnes & Noble. Again, they sell these dead trees that you read from. It's amazing technology. So I would read the book and go to the Exchange, and I'd go on site to it was like a, kind of a temporary job. And I would read the book in the closet because back then, you guys know what I'm talking about. They'd push you in like a closet with the coldest air conditioner on the planet Earth and just that little hum. Like, just think of that in your head. That's what it was. I mean, all day. So I learned to read all that, and I'd go through a lot of repair for that. And that's how I kind of started building my career. I ended up at a company called Schlumberger, and all for you oil field service kids out there, you know that I actually did, because I didn't call it Schlumberger, so I actually did work there, which is kind of the joke. It's I call them the Smurfs. That's the blue guys. So Halliburton's the red guys. It's the Smurfs. They're from France. Yeah, Frenchies. It's fine. That's cool. Good guys. And I helped build a forensic and security lab. I kind of just stumbled into it. It wasn't like, I just like fixing computers. So I guess kind of you guys appreciate the story, the real cool background. One of my favorite story was I had my boss coming from Houston. He said, hey, we got a guy who's been working for us for like 30 years. And like, he's been looking at some inappropriate material. And we need you to investigate this and make sure whatever he's doing out in the field coincides, because some female out in the public said that he's showing her this and saying inappropriate things. So he said, hey, do you know what forensics is? And I said, I don't even know what you're talking about. That sounds like a foreign language to me. And he said, well, the director of HR is going to be here next week, so you better figure it out. So I figured it out. And I was actually able to correlate like a timeline analysis on what he typed in to I don't even know what it was. It was probably like not even Google, probably like Ask Jeeves or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. Super old. I'm sorry. I was talking today, like I am like the oldest person ever in the office, not age, Don't get no, not age, but like technologically. Like I'm 39, but man, I work with Windows NT for all you super old neckbeards out there. I get it. I'm old too, but doing that's when I started forensics. Did that in security. I helped build what they used to call an EPO for McAfee, which that guy turned out his own amazing story about that. But like virus, so a virus scanning. And I used to have the big conspiracy, just kind of chatting here, is what an amazing thing that you can make antivirus. Maybe you make the virus and you sell like the cure for it. I don't.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if that's true, but everything in security is sus, so I'm gonna roll with that, no doubt. So started there, and then I moved to again Chesapeake Energy. Kind of did the same there. Worked a ton of forensics, a little bit of security. Helped build that up. I went to Love's Travel Stops, and around this time, I should note that in 2010 is when I founded the company, I started it because people were getting convicted for stuff they didn't do. And this is a story I probably don't tell too much just because it's kind of deep, but I think it's appropriate now that we're here, even Alias, as we are as a company. So I founded it because I saw people getting convicted for stuff they didn't do. So even as of last year, let me give you a cool example. I know I'm jumping around here, so Teddy, it's your job to keep me on focus.
Absolutely. Keep going.
So even as of 2 years ago, we had the FBI, OSBI, Lawton PD, and I can speak about this because it's public record. Feel free to go look. It's out of Comanche County. They said that this guy was downloading CP, horrible crime, and they were going to put this guy in jail. He made the news. He worked at Goodyear for, 20 years. He got death threats. He lost his job. He burned out all his 401k for services. 2 years later, the law enforcement knows that I'm coming to testify on behalf of that the victim. I'm going to call him a victim. So what it boiled down to, not to get it too technical, if you guys know what a static and a dynamic IP address is, are you familiar with that?
Go ahead and explain it for me.
Okay, so a static IP address is like, it's like when you use VPN and you can always connect to that environment. That number never changes.
Okay.
Like it's always going to be like this home address is 3108 Acme Street. That, boom.
And that will be it for its lifespan.
Correct. It never changes. And a dynamic IP address it's like you live in an Airbnb's. It just changes over time.
Okay.
You still have a house. You still live there.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't look into this, and that was my big complaint. They said that this guy had this IP address back in 2014, and they accused him of having this IP address in 2018. So as a business, you typically don't change IP addresses. That's a static. A dynamic, as users at our house, that changes all the time. That's not, because you have to pay extra for that. Like you got to pay more money for that.
If you want a static, you have to pay more money.
Correct. And this guy was just a typical user. So long story short, 2 years, they find out that I'm going to testify. And I don't say this again. Law enforcement's good. We're all humans. We all make mistakes. I'm not crapping on them. It just, we're all humans and technology. But I was going to testify, and then all of a sudden 3 FBI agents came back in. OSBI is coming back in because I'm about to tell this judge that all their information's a fraud, and we didn't find it because I went through 8 of this guy's devices. I didn't find anything, and then I found this one CD that had the most horrendous stuff you'd ever seen in your life. And I said, where'd this come from? And they said, that came from the FBI. They downloaded it from that IP address. Makes sense. Cool. What you're supposed to do is go to the internet service provider and say, hey, who had this IP address at that time? Mm-hmm. They asked the wrong questions.
So they didn't ask that question?
They did not ask that question, to my knowledge. This guy was going to the jail for the rest of his life. He lost his livelihood. He cashed out his 401k. And we were able to prove that he didn't do it. And to double down, because whoever does bad, they deserve to go down. And I can't say his name on here, but I found the guy who did it because the ISP gave it up. And I said, well, where's this guy at? And they said, oh, he's in jail for aggravated possession of child pornography.
No way.
Yep. It was only like 2 years ago.
Oh, my gosh.
So that was a huge, that was kind of why I started Alias. I hate to like go down that, talk about my experience. My experience is important. I'll finish that, but I started this as a justice thing. Even the joke now, she's probably heard at this point in time, but the reason why I started Alias is because I asked my boss at the time if I could do this, and she said absolutely not. We're going to fire you, but I did it anyway because I felt like there was a need in the community for that.
Is that why you called the company Alias?
It's exactly why I called it Alias, because I was kind of the investigator there at this company. I'm not telling you which one it was because I worked for a few, but I called it Alias. I made a shell company that owned a shell company, and I was the alias. I was the alias for forensics. Alias forensics were alias we changed over time, but that's what I did. So you will never find me because I am the alias. It was anyway. It's kind of funny now.
No, that's awesome.
It's kind of just, but it kind of is like a joke too. So it's a cool story. I didn't start this company to make a company. I started to help people, and I wasn't really like trying to do like for money and so I need to get paid for my time, but it wasn't what it is today. So that's super special to me, and to have what we have today, super blessed, and I try not to ever take anything for granted because it's a gift, and I appreciate that every day.
Absolutely.
So there's the deep story. I get that emotional draw. Here we go. And I'll go back to my corporate, and then from that, I still had it and moved along to Love Travel Stops and did security and forensics there, and then I was the incident response security manager for North America for NTT Security and like the Philippines. It was cool. I worked all over the world, like Germany and Mexico, Canada, Philippines, of course. I did some crazy stuff. And what it is at the time, and I kind of use this as a preaching topic, if you're out there, and I just had this gigantic imposter syndrome. I was still pretty young, and I know more than I go to these companies like the director of email or like the director of head of security and all this stuff. It definitely gave me imposter syndrome because there's no way that that I could know more than them because they were older than me.
Sure.
And what I've realized over time is it's not about knowledge, it's about passion. Like I can learn anything just because I'm interested. No one's going to tell me to learn something like, oh, that's cool. I don't know what that means. And that kind of goes to the core. I'm maybe giving the historical 101 for Alias, but I always wanted to, even kind of fast forwarding, I just wanted to make a community because I always felt abandoned, kind of. Like there was no one in, the Midwest that was really there for anyone that needed like coaching or people visiting schools. That never happened. And I didn't want those kids out there to feel like they didn't have a place to go. So that was kind of one of the biggest keys for me, what I wanted to build and why we're here. And even for this podcast, it's course Alias and course Security. I forget it. But this is something that we've been able to tap into. Just keep talking about what we've done, like us making the Inc. 5000 for Oklahoma. We are oil and gas. It runs through us like forever and all the time in banking. And for us to come in 9th, the fastest growing in the state is crazy. That was across all industries, not just security
not
or
just
IT.
Security. It was every industry in the state of Oklahoma. So
that was huge. And that's kind of what I want to do. So I think that's why we're going to continue to hopefully thrive, is because we have a mission, we have a plan, and I think our founding came from a good spot. And I'll even say, I even had, and I always say, here's the joke, is I had employees before I came on full time because,
Yep.
I got like 4 kids, man. I got mouths to feed. I don't I got mouths to feed. I don't have time for that. So kind of going back into that and growing the company has been a blessing. I still can't believe I'm here, and it's even hard for me. It's marketing always professionally tells me I don't ever really introduce myself as a CEO. I always say that I'm just Donovan.
You just say I'm a hacker.
I'm a hacker. So this is what a hacker looks like.
Yeah.
And we do have black hoodies though.
Yes. Yeah. Branded.
Exactly.
Of course.
So I'll even go to this and say, that's my story. I know that was a lot, but I want everyone to know who I am and kind of why I'm on the podcast, to kind of bring some depth for that. And I've really adjusted because it's been kind of part of the mission, is to reach people, whether you're wanting to have an internship with us or wanting to get in security or just wanting to learn. Even I would say for the lulz, if you guys know what that is, just for fun, I hope you're listening to this podcast and it really enriches your thoughts. enriches your education on cybersecurity, and also just educates the population because when we don't know, that's when we get compromised. And it's always, I've said this even, again, just so I work like, help desk stuff. I wasn't always in this. I work help desk, desktop support, networking, server. I got into IT because of what I said, which is funny, downloading music. But if IT isn't making your life easier, then you're doing IT wrong. That's not why it was invented. It's supposed to make our lives easier. And if you're suffering and you're having a hard time with technology, probably give it up or get you a good support person.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my mantra for that. And that's kind of, I feel like that's what we're building in a security side. Learn from the podcast, participate, and even open as we continue. I'd love to have some good questions. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I've definitely kind of been out there and seen a lot of things, and I'd be interested in what the viewers want to talk about, what they want to hear about. That'd be my mission. If we can kind of start building that up, that would be awesome for me.
Yeah, so if you guys are listening or watching this, actually, you're more than welcome to go on our website, secureafpodcast.com. And if you have any questions or think there's any topics in particular you would love to hear more about, please submit those. We would absolutely be delighted for that. So yeah, no, awesome. I'm very much looking forward to having you here. And you kind of touched on something I meant to bring up in the intro. For those of you guys watching the video, you might notice we're in a little bit of a different setup. We actually just moved studios. So this is our new studio space. This is the first episode we're recording in it, and we are thrilled to be here. As we kind of go forward and record more, you'll see small changes as we kind of get settled in and whatnot. But we're very much looking forward to the growth and everything that 2023 has in store for us.
Yeah, no, so we're wanting to help build community as we continue to grow this podcast room. We're super proud because you guys see this cool little foam board right here. We're so proud of that.
Yeah,
it's like super.
It's official now.
We're like
guys.
super cool, like a real podcast. I'm just saying. So we're looking to build the professionalism. Again, it goes back to teaching and having guests come on to give their 2 cents and to kind of just get some really good, hard questions. Something that I love because I used to drive all the time to the city. I'd listen to podcasts all the way, and that's why I bought a building where we're at now because I got tired of driving the city. Nothing against podcasts. I'm just tired of driving. But if you are stuck in traffic, you can hear me, and I'll be just yammering on and shooting from the hip because I'm just that guy. I'm not a script guy. But that's kind of what we're building. That's what we're looking for, and to kind of push that message out there. But we appreciate you guys being on this new turn of events for the podcast, and it should be exciting. I've been told I'm a pretty cool guy. I don't know if that's true or not, but you know what? If you ever want to hang out, we can drink some good whiskeys. We'll definitely get along and talk shop. So that's what this is about.
Absolutely. So we were kind of talking a bit about what 2023 has in store for us as the Secure AF. So let's talk a little bit about what 2023 might look like for cybersecurity practitioners. There's already been a lot happening. LastPass and all sorts of things that happened around the turn of the year. So it's looking to be like it's going to be another crazy one.
Right, and I have to validate this. Hopefully I'm not, because I'm sitting here and people keep blowing me up. Everyone wants to tell me when someone gets hacked all the time, which is super cool, because I think we do a lot of incident response, which we do. So LastPass, man, let's talk about that. That was, for me, it was kind of comical. What their professional stance was. Basically, no personal information got compromised. Don't worry about it. Nothing got leaked but your passwords. And that's not really important, but your passwords got leaked. Like they just kind of slid that in there because it was like customer data, stuff like that wasn't accessed, but your passwords were. So that was the personal stance. So companies are crazy. And unfortunately, it's just going to happen. And it just kind of goes back to what is 2023? Man, just vendor due diligence. I feel like that comes up more than often. Like, I feel like a lot of companies don't get compromised. I mean, they do because we work a lot of them, but I would say historically it's the SaaS, and everyone's going to hate me and throw rotten tomatoes at me because Donovan, we don't want to make our own HR or our own password. Like, that takes time and devs, and you're welcome, DevOps. I'm giving you free money here. But like we don't need that. But man, those are the guys getting compromised.
Yeah.
But it's genius though. Like, if I'm a hacker, I'm not going to go after this company, I'm going to go after the one that has 18,000 accounts. Like, you talk about some, I feel like in technology, because I'm like, again, I'm technology old, is we used to have like distributed, and then we have like one source of data, and then we distribute again. Like we break up. It's crazy, and we just do this exercise again. We do everything. Everyone does a service force, and then we bring everything back in because we're terrified, and then it gets too expensive, and then we outsource again, and then we bring it back in, and it's just, we're just in that flux. And again, just so you guys know, I don't want anyone to freak out. This is not a scary situation. Literally IT since I've been in since like 2001. So it is what it is. But I would like to talk about some ransomware actors if you want to talk about what is changing in 2023.
Yeah, before we get there real quick though, you kind of brought up the vendor management third-party risk. Do you have any advice on how people can actually try and mitigate that risk?
Yeah, so we do vendor due diligence. So it is a tool called vendor due diligence. It's an action. And again, I say just start as simple as this. When you hire on a vendor, you should have them fill out a form like, do you use dual authentication? Do you have VPN? What are your password policies? There's some pretty like top 10 things that you can do, because there's a few things I can just think of off the bat. Password policy. Do you actually disable people who got let go from a company? There's many things you can do, because a lot of people, these vendors, they don't update that stuff, because typically when you outsource, they may not be as, we'll say, security lean as you. And in order to follow up, you need to have actual tangible like actions, not just a checklist. And by the way, on a checklist, when you self-evaluate, you pass everything all the time. I don't know anyone who's ever failed a self-evaluation. If you had, please just let me know, and I'd love to hear how you failed that. We need to have discussions. But that's the problem, is because whether people are being, I don't want to say malicious, misleading or not, or could be just unknowing. It's not fair to the customer that the services you're giving puts them at risk. That goes, we're talking like way back stuff, like, was it the Target?
From a while ago, the HVAC.
It was. So we're having the same discussions, and Target at the time didn't vent their due diligence for their vendors. I hope they do now, but that's what I'm saying. Like, even I love the Vegas thing, right? A Vegas casino got popped because they had a thermostat in the fish tank. And again, I know I'm talking about old stuff, but I want you guys to know, like, this stuff is old. We're not talking about anything new, and it just goes back to like, Donovan, how do we secure a company? What's your first steps? I'm like, I don't know. We're still talking about scanning. I feel like I'm in 2006 in an echo chamber, still telling people to scan their environment. Like, it just over and over. And one of my favorite advice I heard all week was, we had one of our employees here says, hey man, this machine's acting a little weird, and they're like, oh no, just auto update every day, all day. And she's like, well, what if it breaks? Like, don't care, just revert, don't, just update all the things, because it's true. I know in the bigger corporations, everyone's kind of booing me right now, boo, because you're gonna take down our servers on. I'm just saying, from a desktop support perspective, that should be auto update. I know stuff can break, but you can always roll back. So that's something to kind of expect in what we're seeing in 2023. And for vendor due diligence, like, we have to do that. We have to start at the beginning. Make sure you have a vendor. Make sure they're doing that, and it's not only them self-assessing, but also have some teeth. Like, show me how you're doing this, and I think that's the next action. We do a lot of that for a lot of companies, to make sure that their vendor doesn't get them compromised, because when they do, it's really bad, and it's multiple companies, not just one.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And it's interesting that vendor management, it's always kind of been a concern. So that one is always like a good standard on how you can practice good hygiene. You mentioned before you wanted to talk a little bit more about the ransomware groups, the ransomware actors that maybe be more prevalent in 2023 than they had been in previous years. So let's talk a bit about that. What do you think ransomware and some of those bad actors are going to look like going into this year?
No, so ransomware actors is crazy. I was down in Texas kind of talking about incident response. Incident response is huge. I can tell you that the ransomware market, APT, Advanced Persistent Threat, is a huge market. I would be lying if I guessed. I know I want to say $60 billion. You guys can all Google check me and then give me thumbs down on my non-facts. But it is definitely in the billions at this point, guarantee that. And it's just because the actors have happened. Let me give you a cool story. So back in the day, people used to have hackers. And hackers, one of the ones that comes to mind, again, I'm historically going back in time, LulzSec. Do you guys remember the meme guy that had the optical lens, which was super dope, and he had this really cool mustache that was their mascot? Mm-hmm. Maybe way before everyone's time here. So they used to just break into people's place for lulz. That's it. Just lulz. Like, we're going to take a company out, and we're just going to make fun of you. Like, we're going to send email to all your investors because I'm the CEO now, and just to make fun of you.
Just because they can.
Yeah, because it's lulz, and which is funny and horrifying. But
yeah.
And then you kind of fast forward to the Sony hack, which was also funny, unless you're Sony. That's a whole nother. So they like compromised the whole like Active Directory in the whole company, and they changed the background to like the CEO like burning in hell, which was crazy.
Oh, geez.
I don't know if it's, I mean, it's not hilarious, but it is hilarious. Like, to have that kind of root and like, hey, we're not going to like break you. We're just going to, for lulz.
Just show you that we were here.
Just get wrecked, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, flex for days. And then they said something about they stole their movies and they were going to release them one by one. And then I'll just throw it out there. The FBI reported that it was North Korea. I will tell you, I saw that forensic report. I don't know how they tied it to North Korea, was because it had a Korean keyboard. I can change my keyboard to any other keyboard on the planet Earth, just so you know, in Windows. So just heads up.
It's like, I think I've seen people in our office prank people by changing their keyboards.
That is correct. Yep.
Huh.
So anyway, kind of going to that. So we're moving on. One of the biggest things was called that the marketeers will love is WannaCry. Sure about that one?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm technologically old. But so WannaCry was not the largest compromise that year, not even close. But they had great marketing because it was called WannaCry. Yeah. And then everyone's in super panic mode. And that's where the actual real ransomware happened. I worked for a team, and again, I'm going to the historical aspect. I worked for a team, and I was running security, and they're like, oh my gosh, everything's encrypted. We can't get back up, yada, yada. We're losing. I mean, it was like millions of dollars every hour, but, whatever.
Yeah.
But then they were like, "Oh my gosh, we got to pay them." And I was like, "Oh, you guys?" I'm like, "Nah, man, we just got to rebuild. We have to figure out how they got in and all this stuff, and we just got to rebuild." And they're like, "We'll just pay them." I'm like, "Sweet. Who's gonna pay them? Who's going to Walmart and getting your green spot card or whatever it's called and paying them? Because I'm not doing it. Like, I'm a security guy. You guys are just wasting time." So after 7 hours of them pointing at each other, not fixing anything, we were able to restore the infrastructure. I had a rule, a PowerShell script. So we restricted every user from access from the share. Anytime and file was accessed, we from backup, boom, boom, like redid it all day. So we were running scripts to the environment. It came in through the email server wasn't running AV, and you guys know my team back in 2009 to 2012. People didn't want to put AV on email servers because it made it slow, which is a lie, but that's fine. Just throwing some shade out there for all you email servers. That's fine. I get it. Email server people, Exchange people. I don't even know if you exist anymore. 365 may have extinguished you. Dinosaurs. I'm a dinosaur too. But so kind of going to that, and that's where ransomware really started to take off is, hey, I don't know what this data is important because I'm going to steal it, but I don't know what's in it, so I can't really sell that. But what is important is I can encrypt grandma's hard drive that has all her pictures of her grandkids. How much is that to her? Mm-hmm. And that's where the script flipped. So fast forward from, I'm going to say 2013 to now. Now they're stealing your data. It's not 2023. Let me go back. I'm going to say 2018, 2019. We're stealing your data. We're going to encrypt, and we're going to show you that we stole it. And we're going to sell it on the dark web, which is terrifying.
Yeah.
That's really bad. Well, the good news is for companies at the time is they don't really know what the dark web is. And it's my joke. It's surfing the internet with the lights off. Get one dad joke every episode. One episode. Thank you. Cash that in. But no one knows how to get on it. They don't know what that is. So if it's for sale or whatever, we're going to put you on tour and it's out there. No one knows how to even get there. Mm-hmm. It is actually, it's a little, for people who aren't highly technical, it is hard to find a website on Tor.
for people like me.
Yep.
Like, I wouldn't necessarily know the ins and outs of it.
Right. And you're probably terrified to go on tour.
Absolutely, 100%.
Because you're infected and they're coming to get you. Yep.
Exactly.
For some reason, you just automatically bought like $20 gift certificates to Amazon at Walmart somehow, even though you didn't. But who knows?
Yes.
So that was kind of I would say that, up to 2019. But now it's changed. We've worked probably, I want to say 6 to 8. It just kind of blows my mind. They are stealing your data. Well, let me put it this way. So they are trying to break into all kinds of companies. By the way, low-hanging fruit loses all the time. Doesn't matter. You are never small enough. I've worked for a 4-employee dentist office all the way up to a $30 billion energy company is what I'll call it.
Crazy.
So no company is too small. They do care about you because you care about those x-rays you've had for 20 years at your dentist office.
All of your patient history.
And you'll pay it.
Yeah.
Because that's your business.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to plant some type of beacon or some type of device in your environment where they can actually see what's going on. They also do like we'll call internal network scanning and not malicious stuff. Mm-hmm. Something like a network admin would do. So it's not weird. So Microsoft doesn't see it as like odd behavior.
It wouldn't show up as something like red flag.
Correct. Because you're just doing like a network admin or just using Windows tools. Mm-hmm. So you're figuring out how big the environment is and all this stuff. So we have all that. But secondly, they have the beacon. When they're ready to hit the ransomware, your ransomware, but they have already stolen all your property. Which again, we're talking like 2018, 2019. We've been breached. Our stuff's been stolen, allegedly. Mm-hmm. 3 ransomware, or everything's encrypted. We can't touch anything. But now they had a cool little piece called if you don't pay us $6 million, which is the going price. And I always ask this question, do you know why it's $6 million now? Because it used to not be that much.
No, I have no idea.
Because it's right under your cybersecurity deductible.
Stop.
Mm-hmm.
What is the deductible typically like $7 million or something?
It's freaking genius. Yeah.
Wow.
Right? Because the company's not going to be out any money.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah, and that's why I forget what they're called, something like the Lords or something. It's not like Lords, but it's actually insurance like that handles it over in Europe. Uh-huh. They think they're just going to cancel all cybersecurity because they're out, because they got to pay. Like that's the deductible.
Yeah, and it's not mad.
Yeah, company's out. The company's not out the money, and they just look at the insurance guy and says, "Hey, man, pay the money." It's crazy.
Wow.
It's kind of ninja, and I hate to. Hey, listen, I know it's bad and it sucks for a lot of people, but I'm just saying, like, these people do this stuff for a living. It's kind of genius. Low-key hat tip to hackers out there. Like, I get it. So I guess I'm not finished yet, but even me saying what I just said now, how are we doing? Mm-hmm. We are losing. Mm-hmm. We're losing. Year and a half ago, winning. We're winning. We were. Okay. Totally winning until they started doing this.
Gotcha.
And I'll give you the last little piece and explain why we're losing, because it's someone had a great question and I'd never even thought of it, and then I kind of giggled when I answered my own question because I'm a gunslinger over here. They said, Donovan, when does it look like ransomware attacks will start to we'll say slow down or maybe potentially like kind of fade away? Mm-hmm. I was like, man, that's a really good question. And I was like, probably when we don't need police anymore. Probably when we don't have police. And I know the FBI and I know their angle for ransomware is don't pay them. Mm-hmm. And I had this discussion yesterday. Sure, call the FBI, call your local, whether in Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, wherever, United States, like call your local would be equivalent to the OSBI, the Texas Rangers, for example, to help you. Like what are they going to do, right? So you're going to report the crime and they're going to find these APTs, Advanced Persistent Threat, over in Eastern Europe, and your whole company's collapsed. Mm-hmm. Are you not going to pay them?
And then what? Yeah.
Yep, everyone's fired. Everyone get out.
What are you going to do?
Yep, we're ransomware. Yep. What are you going to do? Are you going to lay down as a business owner? Are you just going to give up because the federal government didn't help you? And no offense to other companies, you're small or whether you're big or whatnot, they don't mean to not help you. They're just busy. They
can't. They're just, yeah.
And outside of it being like, again, I'll even say the big breach, for the midstream, about last year. like the pipeline, right? That's infrastructure.
Colonial?
Yeah, that's national. So that's national security. That makes sense. Insurance company, IT company, manufacturing company, like you have nothing to do with that. Like construction company, no one cares. And I say no one cares. I mean, like the feds are super busy, like doing other things. No offense to your company. So are you going to pay them, or are you just going to let your company collapse?
Right.
You're going to pay them.
Yeah.
You're gonna pay them. So kind of recognize that. And then secondly, do you have Bitcoin to pay them?
Yeah, because they almost always have payment in the form of Bitcoin.
That's correct.
Untraceable, right?
How are you going to get Bitcoin? Do you even know what Bitcoin is? Starting from the very beginning, you probably know what it is. Do you know how to get it? Do you know when you buy, you have to hold up a little sign that says, I need to buy X amount of Bitcoin and I'm not under any type of duress to purchase this? You have to have your picture taken. It's hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
Or you can have a broker, and don't get me started about brokering Bitcoin, which would be another thing we could talk about.
Well,
Insane. So let me finish the rest of my initial yammering thoughts there. So at the very end where we're at in 2023, I'll say the end of 2022, they had a beak in your environment. They stole all your data. All your data is encrypted, and you didn't pay them. Perfect. Wonderful. I'm going to give you two scenarios we worked. One, we had a company that was like, hey, Donovan, we're good to go, buddy. You guys are gangsters coming in and cleaning this up. Let's go. Awesome. And I said, that's cool. I'm glad you guys are back, but we need to figure out how they got in. This is super important. Like, they're like, hey, we don't have the budget for that. We're just trying to get back up. And we do our job thing, whatever that industry is. Just we're fine. I said, I don't want them to come back in. They said, could it come from a phishing email? I was like, it could have. I don't know if it did, but we need to find it. And a month and a half later, because they had backups. I'm sorry, their backups were working. They were restored.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
So they were back up and running. And then the next time they called us, like a month and a half later, and we went to the machine, the server that had the backups, and they typed in command prompt, their command of basically wiping the backups, and it was crazy. They opened Notepad, and it came up right on the screen. This is on the server, and it said, you could see it just, the backups have been deleted. They opened up Notepad and said, now what?
Oh my gosh.
It's pretty gangster, man. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's I can't even imagine what like my heart rate would be if I saw that after just watching all of your backups just get deleted.
Couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So I definitely have a screenshot of that tucked away in my pool of crazy stuff that we've seen here at Alias. So there's that situation. And then the other situation is you allow intelligent incident response team come in there and make sure you patch the hole. I always talk about this all the time. We take a different red team approach to IR, definitely heavily blue team, purple team, because that's a whole nother thing I could talk about. But got to patch the hole. That way you can rebuild and be safe and kind of get that company build back up. But they didn't pay this group called CLOP. CLOP's pretty big time too. And all the data they stole, they ran a script that said anything that has like an email address at whatever.com or org whatever, we're going to send them an email. And we're going to say, everyone got an email, whether it was valid or not. And it would say, hey, so-and-so company, we hacked this company you work with, going back to the SaaS, whatever you outsource. If they haven't told you they're lying to you, we have your data. Here are a few samples of your data. And they put it out on Tor. Which is horrifying.
So you can verify. You're like, oh, that is confidential information that they should have no access to.
Right. So again, generic company. Acme Brick was working with them. Again, this is a generic company. And they would have a link on Tor to Acme Brick's data because they scraped it. It's crazy. And not only that, and my favorite quote in those emails was, privacy is a right. Good luck, is what they said.
Oh, wow.
The irony was just super delicious in that email. I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it was a language thing, but
interesting.
It clicked weird. It clicked weird. And then from that, what they started doing is, because they still didn't get paid, they started calling all the clients, all their contacts. And it was employees, it was associations, it was partners, it was customers, started calling them on the phone, letting them know that they stole their data.
this company we compromised, that is your vendor, let us in to access your data.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct. So are we winning? I'm going to go with a hard no for today. Again, it's always the cops and robbers thing. It's right. Cops are winning because they adjust to crime. Crime comes up with a new idea to compromise. Cops catch up with the and it's a never-ending cycle.
It's a constant chase.
Yep. It's the cat and mouse, right? So that's kind of where we're at. EDR, I can tell you this, or XDR, whatever you want to call it. There's so many. I feel like people just make stuff up.
EDR,
man.
MDR, XDR.
Man, it's just it's antivirus with a cooler tactic. It's like my favorite. I used to make fun all the time was the firewalls, right? What kind of? It's next gen. Like, oh crap! Like they have more stuff in it, or does it still do this? No, it's next gen. Like it's even more intense.
Yeah.
Which is kind of hey, it's good marketing. And I'm sorry, all my marketeers. It's fine. It's great, but I get it. We're just having the AV battle. I can tell you that Alias, our group, we can bypass. I'm going to say a handful of those companies right now. But tomorrow they may have a new update that we cannot. But as of today, we can bypass that with a type of obfuscation when we're doing pen tests. But tomorrow they may have a new update that we can't. So it's always this cat and mouse game.
Well, and I know if, say, tomorrow you weren't able to bypass it, as soon as our team figured that out, they would immediately set to work to figuring out how they could bypass it.
Correct, because they don't like to lose.
Yep.
and I was like, guys, it's not about losing. It's about making sure everyone's safe, which is true. Just make sure all the top to bottom, where could someone get in? But, that's what hackers do. It's a game. It's literally a game. They have games about this, by the way. I've actually seen a few video games on Steam that are kind of just like it, just hacking. And it's just knowledge of knowing different things and how they connect and how to kind of bypass. So it is an interesting world. If you want to be in cybersecurity and you like change, you can adapt to that well. This is the field for you. If you don't ever think about it ever, because you're going to be super stressed out. If you like process and everything to be the same, no, not a good place for you. If you like change because you get bored, absolutely, I highly recommend it. I get bored all the time. If stuff ain't broke, I'm upset. All the other companies. When I even came to consulting, I would get in the company and be super broke. I'd get in there and fix everything. And I'm like, woo, super excited. Oh my God, everything's running smooth. And then I'll have all the cool green lights, which is cool. That means everything's running good, by the way.
Yep.
For all you security engineers, which is not true. But I'm super bored now. Like, this place is super boring.
Now what?
Consulting. So I went to consulting because usually when we get involved, everything is not perfect. So we're there for a service, whatever, all the way from compliance to monitoring to responding to pen testing, and all the stuff we do here is very exciting. And that's what building the team here for the team, I guess, that I built starting at the beginning of Donovan. Where'd you come from? Where's your background? Trying to hire people that had the same passion as me and love change and love to help people and see through problems that we didn't even know existed.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a great thing to have, especially in like the Oklahoma region, where people typically think of cybersecurity or these heavily advanced consulting companies coming in from California. But we're a local-based organization that is here to help local businesses who might not be able to afford some of the other large consulting firm companies.
Yeah.
And so we're founded on the principle of helping, and that's what we try and do every day.
Yeah, and again, we're here to grow the community. We're getting really large in the Midwest. We have a place out in Richmond now. Very proud of that. Being local, because all these bigger companies, you're just a number, and there's even a few that are so big and they get purchased, and we cleaned up a lot of their business because they just didn't answer the phone. And you can't have a cybersecurity company on your team if they don't answer the phone. That's not fair. And I don't think that's right professionally, and that's what we're just trying to change the audience, change the platform, and be something bigger than we are today for our client.
Yep. So get ready for a good and exciting 2023.
That's right.
Perfect. Donovan, I am looking forward to having you as co-host going on for all of the future episodes. Everybody listening and watching, we have some amazing guests lined up for these next few episodes. Please stay tuned. Check us out on the secureafpodcast.com. It is secureafpodcast.com. You can follow us on Spotify, Apple iTunes, pretty much anywhere you get your podcasts. So again, thank you so much, and check you out next time.